Welcome to a deep dive, folks, into Act 1 of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
Ah, yes, using the excerpts you provided.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know the story, right? Star-crossed lovers.
Family feuds.
Tragic endings. But have you ever thought about, like, biting your thumb as, like, a deadly insult?
Interesting.
We're going to unpack that and more today.
Right from the start, we're kind of thrown right into the action of this play.
Yeah.
We witness the feud between the Montagues and the Capulets, and Shakespeare kind of throws us right into the action with servants brawling in the streets.
Right away.
Right away.
I know.
It's almost absurd how quickly things can escalate.
Yeah.
You know, the servants are ready to fight over practically nothing.
Yeah.
Remember Samson wanting to cut off the Montague maids' heads?
Right.
I mean, that's how deep this hatred runs. It's like, whoa! It's intense.
Yeah.
Immediately.
And that infamous biting of the thumb. I mean, just imagine that, like, flipping somebody off today.
Yeah.
But with the potential for a sword fight to follow.
Yeah. You know, it really sets the stage for a world that's ruled by violence.
Yeah. Shakespeare's like, you know, fasten your seatbelts, folks.
Yeah.
This is going to be a bumpy ride.
It is. And, you know, these families are so consumed by this hatred that even the slightest provocation can lead to bloodshed.
Oh, yeah. The prince himself has to intervene.
Right.
Threatening them with death if they disrupt the peace again.
Yeah, there's a real sense of frustration there.
Yeah.
You know, he's just fed up with these families.
Yeah.
They're constantly causing trouble.
Yeah, they are.
So right away.
All right. So now, amidst all this chaos, we meet our lovesick Romeo pining over Rosaline.
Ah, yeah.
He is all about, you know, sad hours and being out of her favor.
You know, it's classic young love. All these, like, exaggerated emotions.
Yeah.
Notice how Shakespeare uses the language there?
Yeah.
It's so over the top.
Yeah.
It's almost comical at times.
Yeah.
But it really reflects that intensity of how he's feeling,
Yeah.
even if his feelings might be a little misplaced. We don't know yet.
Yeah. And he even describes love as a smoke raised with the fume of sighs.
That's beautiful.
Which I find so vivid.
It is a beautiful image.
Yeah.
But it also suggests that this kind of love is fleeting, insubstantial, like smoke.
Right.
It disappears into thin air.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, is Romeo truly in love or just caught up in the drama of it all?
Yeah. Is he really in love?
Who knows?
We'll see.
We'll see.
So speaking of drama, let's talk about Lord Capulet throwing this lavish feast.
Yes, this feast is really important. It brings together all these characters who will shape the play's tragic events.
Yeah.
And of course, this is where Romeo first lays eyes on Juliet.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You know, the contrast between Capulet and Paris really struck me.
Yeah.
Capulet's, you know, boisterous and jovial.
Yeah.
And Paris Juliet's intended.
Right.
He's much more reserved.
Yep.
It makes you wonder, are they truly a good match?
I don't know.
Food for thought.
And of course, we can't forget the comedic relief that Shakespeare sprinkles in.
Oh, yeah.
Like the servant who can't read the guest list.
Right. It's classic Shakespeare. You know, even in this world of violence and tragedy, there's always room for a little humor.
A little humor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Romeo and his friend Benvolio decide to crash the Capulet party.
Oh, they do.
Romeo's hoping to see Rosaline.
Right.
But little does he know.
Fate has other plans.
Yes. Fate has other plans.
Yeah.
He spots Juliet and is instantly captivated, forgetting all about Rosaline.
Wow.
The famous line, "A rich jewel in an Ethiop's ear," paints such a striking picture of Juliet's beauty.
Oh, it does.
Right, just imagine like a dazzling gemstone against dark skin.
Yeah.
It emphasizes her radiance.
It's love at first sight.
Yeah.
A trope that Shakespeare utilizes to its fullest.
Yes, he does.
But is it real love?
Right.
Or just infatuation?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
It's hard to say at this point. But there's definitely an undeniable spark between them.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And of course, their newfound connection doesn't go unnoticed.
No, it doesn't.
Enter Tybalt.
Right.
Juliet's hot-headed cousin.
Yes.
Who immediately recognizes Romeo.
As a Montague.
As a Montague. Talk about tension.
Yeah.
Right.
Capulet tries to keep the peace.
He does.
But you can feel that simmering rage.
You can.
In Tybalt.
Yeah.
This foreshadows the conflict to come.
Absolutely. And then in a truly iconic scene, we have Romeo sneaking into the Capulet orchard after the party.
Oh, yeah.
Leading to the famous balcony scene.
Yeah.
This scene is just full of rich imagery and emotion.
It is.
Juliet on her balcony, unaware that Romeo is listening.
Right.
delivers that famous speech, "O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?"
Right, and she's wrestling with this idea that names and labels define who we are and who we can love.
Yeah.
And it speaks to this universal desire to break free from societal constraints.
He does.
Especially in matters of the heart.
Especially in matters of the heart.
Yeah.
It's fascinating that she's initially talking to herself, expressing her inner turmoil.
Yeah.
And when she realizes that Romeo is there, it adds this whole other layer of vulnerability to their exchange.
Right.
What follows is just this whirlwind of emotions.
Yeah.
Fear, hesitation.
Right.
And then declarations of love.
Yeah, and just like that, they decide to get married.
That's right.
Emphasizing the impulsiveness of young love.
They do.
So what do you make of their decision?
Well, their whirlwind romance raises so many questions.
Yeah.
What will happen when their families find out?
Right.
Can their love really survive in a world defined by this hatred?
Yeah.
You know, we've reached the end of Act I, and it has certainly set the stage.
It has.
For a tale of forbidden love, feuding families, and just this looming sense of impending tragedy.
Yeah, Act I is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, it is.
There are so many twists and turns yet to come.
That's right.
We've seen these seeds of love planted.
Yeah.
But will they blossom, or will this feud ultimately destroy them?
I don't know.
That's the question that will keep you on the edge of your seat.
It will.
So stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dives into Romeo and Juliet.
We'll pick up the story in Act 2.
All right, see you then.
Bye.
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 So Act 2 picks up right where we left off. Romeo and Juliet have pledged their love, but their journey is far from over.
Right.
Shakespeare really cranks up the emotional intensity as we delve deeper into their world.
Well, after that intense balcony scene, Romeo rushes off to Friar Lawrence, seeking his guidance, and let's be honest, somebody to confide in about this whirlwind romance.
Yeah, Friar Lawrence is understandably taken aback by this sudden change of heart.
Right.
He even questions Romeo like, do young men's love really reside in their hearts?
Yeah.
Or merely in their eyes?
I mean, it's a valid question, isn't it?
It's a valid question.
Like, is this true love or just a fleeting infatuation?
Friar Lawrence's initial skepticism does make us question Romeo's motives a little bit.
Absolutely. But ultimately, Friar Lawrence agrees to marry Romeo and Juliet.
He does.
Hoping that their union might somehow bridge the gap between these warring families and bring peace to Verona.
Yeah.
It's a risky move.
It is.
But one that's driven by hope.
Yeah. So, meanwhile, Mercutio and Benvolio are still searching for Romeo.
Right.
Completely oblivious to his secret rendezvous with Juliet.
Yeah, and Mercutio, ever the jokester, continues to tease Romeo about Rosaline.
Oh, yeah, he does.
The introduction of the nurse adds another layer of complexity here.
Yeah, she's great.
Oh, she's a fascinating character, isn't she? Providing that comedic relief, but also serving as this loyal confidant to Juliet.
She really is a force of nature.
She is.
But beneath that comedic surface,
Yeah.
She's deeply invested in Juliet's happiness.
Right.
And she becomes this crucial go-between,
Yeah.
facilitating these secret wedding plans.
Her interactions with Romeo are just pure gold.
They are.
Remember her grilling him about his intentions towards Juliet?
Oh, yeah.
She's protective and fiercely loyal to Juliet.
Yeah.
But she's also got this sharp wit.
Yes.
And a knack for getting what she wants.
Yeah, she does. And who could forget her demanding a ladder for Romeo to climb into Juliet's balcony after the wedding?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She brings a touch of humor and chaos to this otherwise tense situation.
She does. It's through the nurse's efforts that Romeo and Juliet finally get married.
They do.
In a secret ceremony officiated by Friar Lawrence.
Yes.
It's a moment of pure bliss for them.
Yeah.
A stolen moment of happiness amidst all this conflict.
It is, but the shadow of the feud looms large over everything.
It does.
Their joy is fragile, threatened by this ever-present danger surrounding them.
Yeah, and almost immediately after their marriage,
right,
things take a dark turn.
They do.
Tybalt, still fuming from Romeo's appearance at the Capulet feast, confronts him in the street.
Right.
But this time Romeo tries to avoid a fight, knowing he's now related to Tybalt through marriage.
That's right.
It's a sign of Romeo's growth, isn't it?
It is. He's really trying to rise above that hatred that defines their families.
Right. But it's Mercutio who steps in to defend Romeo's honor.
It does.
Leading to a duel with Tybalt.
Right.
And in a tragic twist of fate, Mercutio is fatally wounded.
Yeah, it's a heart-wrenching moment.
It is.
Mercutio, the life of the party, full of wit and humor, is suddenly gone.
It's terrible.
And his senseless death unleashes this torrent of emotions in Romeo. Consumed by grief and rage,
Right.
he slays Tybalt in revenge.
Yeah. And this act of violence has devastating consequences.
It does.
The prince, who had previously warned both families about the feud, banishes Romeo from Verona.
Right.
It's a crushing blow for both Romeo and Juliet.
It is.
They've just found each other, only to be ripped apart by the very forces they were trying to defy.
And Juliet is just caught in this whirlwind of emotions. She's heartbroken over Tybalt's death and just devastated by Romeo's banishment. And to make matters worse, the nurse who initially championed their relationship now advises her to just marry Paris.
Right, which feels like a betrayal.
It does. Juliet feels completely lost and alone.
Yeah.
And she turns to Friar Lawrence in desperation.
She does.
Seeking a solution to this seemingly impossible situation.
Yeah.
And that's where Act 2 ends, leaving us on the edge of our seats wondering what fate has in store for these star-crossed lovers.
Yeah, Act 2 takes us on a roller coaster of emotions.
It does.
From the joy of their secret marriage to the despair of their separation.
Right.
Shakespeare really masterfully portrays the complexities of love, loyalty, and the consequences of impulsive actions.
It does.
It's a whirlwind of events that leaves us breathless and eager to see what happens next.
I can't wait.
Act 3 left us hanging with Juliet turning to Friar Lawrence for help.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Right. So Act 4 opens, and he's facing a desperate Juliet.
Right.
A looming wedding she wants no part of, and a banished Romeo.
It's a tough situation.
So what's a friar to do?
Well, Friar Lawrence, ever resourceful,
Yeah.
he concocts this daring plan, one that involves a potion that will make Juliet appear dead.
Wow.
It's a gamble for sure, hinges on everything going exactly as planned.
But as we've seen, fate often has other ideas in this play.
That's true.
Yeah.
But Juliet, trusting the friar and her love for Romeo, agrees to this risky plan.
She does.
It takes a lot of courage
It does.
to face down those fears, especially for someone so young.
Yeah. And she drinks the potion.
She does.
And chaos erupts in the Capulet household.
Everything changes.
Yeah, wedding preparations transform into funeral arrangements.
Right.
The dramatic irony is palpable.
It is.
We know that Juliet is alive, but the characters on stage are completely in the dark.
Totally clueless.
And Capulet's grief over Juliet's supposed death, I mean, it's heartbreaking, but also ironic.
Yeah.
Right. He was so determined to control her future.
He was.
And now it's been snatched away in the cruelest way imaginable.
The dangers of clinging too tightly to control right.
Right. Meanwhile, Romeo, oblivious to the friar's plan, receives word of Juliet's death in Mantua.
Heartbreaking.
I know. And his reaction is immediate.
Of course.
He decides to return to Verona, even if it means facing death himself.
Yeah, he can't imagine a life without Juliet.
Right?
And in his despair, he seeks out an apothecary to purchase poison.
Oh, man.
The play really highlights the destructive power of these impulsive actions.
Yes, it does.
Fueled by grief and a lack of complete information.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even with the best intentions, things can go terribly wrong.
Absolutely. And to make matters worse, Friar Lawrence's message explaining the plan, intended to reach Romeo before he takes any drastic action, gets delayed.
Oh, no.
The timing couldn't be worse.
So Act V opens, and Romeo stands in the Capulet tomb, grieving over what he believes to be Juliet's lifeless body.
Right.
It's a haunting scene,
It is.
filled with Romeo's expressions of love and despair.
And then we see Paris arrive to pay his respects, only to be confronted by Romeo.
Yeah, and Paris represents that life that Juliet could have had.
He does.
A life of societal acceptance,
Yeah.
but a life devoid of true love.
Unfortunately, he too becomes a victim of this feud, dying at Romeo's hand.
Romeo, believing he's lost everything, drinks the poison and dies beside Juliet.
That's so tragic.
And just as Juliet awakens,
Oh my gosh, the worst possible timing.
she finds Romeo dead by her side, a victim of miscommunication and a series of unfortunate events.
Just awful.
It's a heart-wrenching twist of fate. Juliet tries to find any trace of poison on Romeo's lips, hoping to join him in death. But it's too late. She takes her own life with Romeo's dagger collapsing upon his body.
Such a powerful scene.
The friar arrives to witness this devastating scene, but it's too late to save either of them.
Right.
The arrival of the watch and the prince unveils the full weight of this tragedy.
It does.
The Montagues and the Capulets are finally forced to confront the devastation wrought by their generations-long feud.
The prince's speech is so powerful.
It is.
Lamenting the senseless loss of young lives and the futility of their hatred.
It really resonates deeply.
It does. And in this moment of reconciliation,
Right.
the families finally lay down their arms, vowing to end this cycle of violence.
It's a bittersweet ending.
It is.
Their reconciliation comes at a terrible cost.
Right.
But it offers this glimmer of hope.
It does.
For a future free from hatred.
Romeo and Juliet's tragic deaths become this catalyst for change, a stark reminder of the destructive power of prejudice and violence.
Right.
Shakespeare's message is clear.
What is it?
Love and understanding must prevail over hatred and division.
It's a powerful message that continues to resonate with audiences centuries later.
Absolutely.
Reminding us of the importance of communication, understanding, and forgiveness.
We've journeyed through the highs and lows of Romeo and Juliet.
We have.
Witnessing the beauty of their love and the devastating consequences of this feud.
It really is a timeless masterpiece.
It is.
That continues to captivate and inspire reflection on the human condition.
What are your final takeaways from this deep dive?
Yeah, what resonates with you the most?
We encourage you to delve further into Shakespeare's works.
Yeah.
There's a whole world of captivating stories and unforgettable characters waiting to be discovered.
And you can find a link to purchase Romeo and Juliet in the show notes. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating deep dives into a variety of intriguing topics. Thanks for joining us on this journey.